welcome to 345 to Life. We appreciate y'all stopping by here today. Now, if you've been following us on social media, TikTok, Facebook, and all that, you'll know that we've kind of ventured down this road already. We've already started our top 5 favorite whatever lists over on TikTok and spread it to all the other social medias. But it felt like TikTok just really, as much as I love that app and as fun as it can be, really didn't do these lists service. Problem is, TikTok lets you do 15, 60 seconds, and 3 minutes. And while 3 minutes seems like a long time, when you're trying to do one of these fancy schmancy lists and you're trying to squeeze all that information down into one 3-minute video, it does feel like you kind of zip through everything and hustle through everything. So I've decided that going forward, we're redoing the top 5 lists that we've already done, and going forward, we're going to be putting out all the new top 5 lists over here on the YouTube channel so we can do them justice, so they don't feel rushed and don't feel like we squeak through them real quick. So without further ado, this is the top 5 plus 1 favorite Mopars of all time. Now, this is why it's top 5 plus 1. This is our honorable mention. I guess top 6. Couldn't leave it off the list. There's no way in hell I could leave this thing off the list because it holds a special place near and dear to my heart. So the honorable mention, the number 6 out of the top 5, is the 6th gen Dodge Charger. More specifically, the SRT8. This thing had a 6.1 liter, 425 horsepower, 420 pound-feet of torque V8 Hemi. Now, why was this so near and dear to my heart? Because I owned one of these. This thing, top to bottom for its time, being that it was in 2006 era, 425 horsepower was quite a bit of power at the time, especially for a 4-door sedan. At that point, no 4-door sedan had the kind of power that this thing had. You could load the family up, head to the grocery store, do everything you needed to do, run all your errands, take them home, and the wife, oh, we forgot milk. Okay, well, now I can go out by myself, melt the tires off of this thing, blow the doors off of almost anything else that was running around on the road at the time. I mean, this thing had a 0 to 60 time of right around that 4.9 to 5.1, depending on who was driving it. This thing was hell on wheels, man, and it had 4 doors. You could load all your friends in there, go do what you had to do, and then just tear up the streets afterwards, man. This thing, Dodge, as much as I can't stand that they put the Charger nameplate on a 4-door, and that's a whole different discussion for another day, this car was badass, and it has been badass since its inception. Probably would have been better with a different nameplate, but man, this thing, I can't describe how badass this thing can be. And here we are officially kicking off the top 5 portion of the top 5 now that we've got our honorable mention out of the way. So number 5, we have the Plymouth Roadrunner / Plymouth GTX. For those that aren't aware, they're essentially the same vehicle. The GTX was a little bit more of a luxurious version of this car, but obviously, big B-body guy here, big B-body muscle car guy, so full-size cars. I guess technically they were considered mid-size back in the day, but they're huge compared to today's mid-size. So the GTX and the Roadrunner, they came with the 440 6-barrel, not to be confused with the 6-pack, which is the label they put on the Dodge performance cars. They also came with a 426 Hemi, 390 horsepower, 425 depending on the application, 490 pound-feet of torque for both motors. These things were track monsters. I mean, drag strip monsters. They were eating competition alive. And don't get me wrong, Ford and Chevy had their powerful motors that kept up, and they went toe to toe. They had the horsepower wars, and they did some great stuff there. But man, these B-body Plymouth cars were surprising everybody. Big, heavy, but man, they had the power to put down to just absolutely demolish just about anything. These things were gods on the track. So you follow this channel long enough and you're going to find out that the only thing that I love nearly as much as a good-ass muscle car, classic muscle car, is a badass truck. And coming in at number 4, we have the Ram TRX. What more could you ask for from a truck? Off-roading, badass truck, 6.2 liter supercharged Hellcat V8, 702 horsepower, 650 pound-feet of torque. This thing does 0 to 60 in a head-scratching 3.7 seconds. 3.7 seconds in a truck. You know, even the SRT-10 Ram back in the day and the Lightning, the Raptor, none of them hit 3.7 seconds. That is Corvette numbers, not 2022 Corvette, but those are top tier performance car numbers out of a 5,000 pound truck. That is insane. This thing comes out decked out to the gills. This thing has all kinds of stupid, ridiculous tow packages and rhino liner and all kinds of other pull cables and bars and everything, you name it. This thing is badass, start to finish, no discussion, sick. If you haven't, check it out on YouTube. This thing, there's so many videos of this thing just smoking performance cars. You know, obviously, you're talking a quarter mile eventually. You know, the weight catches up, and they eventually will catch up, and most cars will overpass this thing, man. But 0 to 60, you know, that eighth of a mile, this thing will smoke most performance cars. Badass. Coming in at number 3, y'all knew I had to have this on here somewhere. The Dodge Viper ACR. 8.4 liter V10, 645 horsepower, 600 pound-feet of torque. This thing is a track king. You knew I had to have a car on here that wasn't just a drag monster, something that could take corners, something that was breaking records. The Nürburgring, this thing just annihilated the times over there. And that big-ass wing on the back of that car looks crazy, looks ridiculous. I know you see a lot of tuner cars have them on there for no ridiculous reason at all. That thing actually created so much downforce. It actually was able to keep the rear wheels of the car on the ground at higher speeds. It actually served a function, and it's not just out there trying to look ridiculous. This thing is eating things alive at the track, and performance cars are still trying to beat the numbers of this thing today. This thing is absolutely insane. You're a fool to not at least have respect for this thing. Monster on the track. Number 2. Are we really surprised? Is anybody really surprised? Anybody that spent more than a microsecond on this channel at all? Are we really surprised? The Dodge Challenger Hellcat Red Eye. I mean, come on, man. 6.2 liter Hellcat motor, 797 horsepower, 707 pound-feet of torque. What else can you say about this thing? This thing's got the wide fender flares. It's got 305s all the way around for better traction, improving on the original Hellcat. Yeah, it's a half of a hair of a step down from the Demon, but this thing was actually designed. The Demon and some of the other variations of the Hellcat that have come out since the Demon was discontinued, those things were designed to be drag cars primarily, with somewhat of a accessibility for regular street usage. You're missing a lot of the key components that make it an everyday comfortable daily driver. But the Red Eye is still a drag car, drag king, while primarily being an everyday driver first. So that way you got all the creature comforts, you got all the nice comfortability, but you still have all the track inspired Demon stuff, the launch control, the SRT pages with the customizations on the horsepower and the suspension. You have all the gadgets, but it's still primarily an everyday driver. I mean, this thing's 0 to 60, and holy shit, how could you not love this thing? And here we are, number 1. And if you didn't see it coming, you don't know me or this channel very well. The 2nd gen Dodge Charger. I told you, I love my B-bodies. I love my big, heavy muscle cars. This to me is without a shadow of a doubt the sexiest car ever created. It's got the looks. It's got that mean, aggressive, bulky, badass look. It's got the power, it's got the capabilities, it's got everything for the drag strip. I prefer the 1970 because of the grille and taillight combo. I prefer that versus the round taillights on the 68 or the split grille on the 69. this is the thing that started my love affair with cars. My dad, I grew up a Mopar kid. I always just blindly liked Mopars, but man, once I saw this thing for the first time, that is what made me fall in love with Mopars. 446 pack, 426 Hemi, 390 horsepower, 425 horsepower depending on the application, 490 pound-feet of torque. There are a lot of people that say, "Oh, this wasn't that badass. My Chevy, my Ford." They're lying to you. They're lying to you because Dodge, for a short period of time, was mopping up NASCAR until they banned the Hemi. So this is it. This is the car, as far as I'm concerned. That red eye, a lot of the more modern Corvettes and stuff like that, Camaros, Mustangs, they would shit all over this car as far as performance because it's a 40-plus-year-old car. But to me, this is it. This is everything. This is what cars should be. Sexy, badass, powerful. You can't beat this thing. You'll never convince me otherwise. So, Dodge Charger, all day, every day, dream car, number one. And that's it. That's our top 5, plus one honorable mention, Mopars. My personal favorites of all time. Doesn't mean any of these cars on this list are better than any of the Mopars you love, but they're my personal favorites, and you got to deal with it. So, till next time, we'll catch you on the next one.